So, Pat, let's stay on the FTC regs. Businesses are raising concern, and certainly Treasury, along with Capitol Hill, they're hearing the concerns. So, what's next? What's the latest insight you have from companies, and what are you hearing about what's next for the regs?
Well, so just this morning, there was a story in the Wall Street Journal about a letter that was signed by over 24 CFOs of major U.S. multinationals expressing concerns to Secretary Yellen about the foreign tax credit regulations. I'm sure I don't need to tell anyone that's an unusual step. We don't often see that number of CFOs. I mean, again, these are not tax directors. These are CFOs who actually are concerned enough about these regulations to sign on to a letter that says these regulations are going to fundamentally impact our competitiveness, our ability to compete and win business in foreign markets, potentially causing us to have to shift activities, maybe even outside the United States, in response to these regulations. So that's an unusual letter to be delivered. The timing of it, obviously right before Secretary Yellen testifies, is also interesting and noteworthy. What we've been hearing from the government is, I'll say, an evolution in the government's kind of reaction to the foreign tax credit regulations. And here I'm talking about Treasury and the IRS. If we went back several months ago, the reaction from Treasury and the IRS seemed to be relatively hostile to the idea of reopening the regulations or making changes to the regulations. There was initially sort of well, this is a final regulation. We reviewed comments and we're moving on. That then sort of changed a little bit to more of a discussion of people are not necessarily reading the regulations the way we intended. People being taxpayers and practitioners are not reading the regulations the way we intended. They're reading them too literally or too technically in a way that's giving rise to these concerns. We've now moved, I think, still further to a place where Treasury and the IRS are now saying publicly, we're going to need to look at the regulations, potentially make some changes to the regulations. So really acknowledging that taxpayers should be expecting changes to the regulations. Now, we don't know what form that's going to take, and we don't know the timing of that. But that's certainly been an evolution, and I would say from the perspective of taxpayers, a very welcome evolution. Would it be great if the changes were already done? Of course, from taxpayers' perspective. But we have seen this movement, which we should acknowledge on the part of the government, from where they were several months ago to now saying, yeah, we're going to need to address the regulations and we will need to make changes to the regulations. Again, we'll just have to wait and see what exactly that means.